G'day and welcome to Supercoach Playbook NBA podcast. I've got on my left here the man who will probably be my host pretty shortly, Alex Sumsky from Basketball Forever. Sumsky, tell us about who are you? We've literally just met.
We just met 10 minutes ago. So
come at me, tell everyone who are you, mate?
Firstly, I'd love to be your host, your co-host. Secondly, I have basically been in the sports media space for the better part of 15 years now. 12 years having run Basketball Forever, the sort of largest independent basketball media publisher in the country. I have been running Forever Network, which is its parent company, since literally, actually, this is gonna be so funny, but on this exact day 10 years ago is when we started. Yeah. So that's unbelievable timing to be doing this now.
That's remarkable.
I've avid fantasy NBA player and fan. I've been playing fantasy NBA for about 17, 18 years now. So almost 2 decades. Started very, very early on in around about that 2008, 9 on ESPN, and have just been doing it ever since. Played every single format to death.
Love it, mate. Love it. I'm similar to you. Not in the media department in terms of fantasy. I've been doing a long time in the NBA. It's actually, I'm a Yahoo man initially. 9-category Yahoo is what we've always done. So for those out there that may or may not know that, you've got to score around categories, whereas Supercoach is more around just point scoring and accumulating totals for the week. So it is pretty different in that regard, but mate, I love it.
Yeah.
Like my NBA side, once I've drafted it, which was last week, by the way, we had to go early due to some scheduling commitments.
Of course. There's always scheduling commitments.
But we got the boys together and got it done. But it comes like my third child over summer, I tell you. Like, it is looked after and I'm just massaging it. But the beauty of Supercoach is you can bounce around and trade blokes in and out at will. So that's always fun.
Yeah, and it almost requires more upkeep than a child, really, with the amount of time, energy and effort that goes into managing the team.
100%. The only difference is it can't wake you up in the middle of the night, but then I realised trade deadline day absolutely does.
I keep my phone on loud for the notifications. It does
just
wake me
in
up.
case, yeah.
1, 2, 3 a.m.
Trade deadline day, Matty, you'll like this. I genuinely set 4 alarms. I get up every hour because I'm like, that's where you win titles.
First of all, that's commitment. Yeah. I set alarms for the same reasons, but only because it's my actual job. If for fantasy, I don't know if you could be paying me to set the alarms just for the trades. That's commitment. But again, that's how you take out the title.
That's how you do it. So in saying all that, I did have a crack at this. It is the same format on Sports Deck last year.
Yep.
There was 3,000 people doing it, and I wouldn't say I did it hardcore, but I'm competitive enough to always make my trades and have a little look at things. And I managed to come 41st out of 3,000, so it was pretty decent finish.
That's why you're in the host seat.
Yeah, well, for now. But I love my NBA. I love the stats. I love the players. I love the storylines and all that. So I do love it, mate. But before we crack on, Supercoach Unlimited League this year. Take on the SC Playbook team for a chance to win $1,000 in cash. We are giving away $1,000 to the top-ranked subscriber that can knock all of us off. If a non-subscriber wins, it's $500 to the winner and $500 to the top-ranked subscriber. League code is 142510. We'll get that out there again next week, but join while you can. Supercoach Playbook, what's in store?
Mate, it's the perfect format, I think, this year. It's just so simple, so easy. It's built for accessibility. I think of all of the formats that I've ever played, a lot of them, and even when it comes to Supercoach for NRL, like there's a lot that goes into that from a scoring perspective. Like you've got so many like situational plays and stats that don't necessarily come up in the box score that go into the scoring. NBA for Supercoach, so simple. You get 1 point for every point scored. And then you've got 1 point for rebounds, 1 point for assists, and then 2 for defensive plays. So 2 for blocks, 2 for steals. You got -1 for a turnover and -1 for a missed shot. So as far as fantasy scoring goes, like this is the easiest it's ever been. And it differs even again from NBL's Supercoach, who, they've got points for like, triple doubles and double doubles. And then you get, extra points for threes and you're not punished for missed shots at all. So, NBA Supercoach kind of strips all of that back. It's probably, like I said, simplest scoring system across any major fantasy format at the moment.
And what you'll find, and we'll go through this more as the show goes on, but blokes like Trae Young might have 10 turnovers and 20 missed shots on a day. So his 30-point, 15 assist game gets tinkered right back. And that's not to say he's not a good option, but there's risk in that. Whereas I think we'll find when we go through the top 10 scorers from last year, a lot of the big men get the job done because they're high percentage. They don't miss too many shots. They don't turn the ball over. They rebound, they block. So it's probably built around them. But you can't have all the big men. Much like NRL, you've got to have some guards in there as well. And
that's right. You got to spread it out.
That's where the fun's at as well, by the way. So, before we crack on a bit more with that, in terms of Supercoach Playbook this season, it's basically everything you've come to expect across our NRL, cricket, EPL and NFL networks. Weekly podcasts recorded from the Bloke Studios with Sumsky here, and hopefully myself most weeks, but got to figure out my real job as well.
Hopefully 41st. I want to have you across here every time.
Top 10 maybe, then I'll come in more.
Nice.
I do have a real job as well, so I've got to sort that.
That's
true.
What
the bosses think. Team of contributors will be producing tons of articles on our website throughout the pre-season and every round of the season. You'll find us across social channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and TikTok at SC Playbook NBA. So jump across, give us a follow, please. Go do that now, actually. Just pause it and then go do it. We'll also have all the subscription content as per the other sports, including our WhatsApp chat, which I'm not in yet. Maybe I've got to be added. With contributors only groups, community chat, late mail and team news, and basically everything you've come to expect across the board. Costs you less than $2 a week and gets you access to the whole network of sports, which is good there. So to subscribe, head to scplaybook.com.au and find the option in the menu. Mate, should we get into it a bit more?
Let's get stuck into it. What are we looking at here?
Where are we starting? So just for everyone listening and watching out there, we've sort of come in and the host, Timo, he's not here. He's in Europe. We weren't sure who was going to host. There was a bit of breakdown in communication. So we've rallied. We're like it's like we've come from behind and we've just pulled together a little time out and we've just pulled this together. So let's start. We've just chatted about the points a little bit. I might just build on that a little bit more. In this version of Supercoach, it's the exact same as NRL and AFL in that regard, where you still need to make money and build value within your squad. So it's all good starting with a bloke at 20 million, but if they lose 5 million, that's going to hurt you. On the flip side, you could start with everyone around their value from last year, but you still need guys producing a bit of cash just to stack that side even more. In saying that, I did find last year I didn't use my bench at all because what happens is you lock it in on a Tuesday morning and once you're set, that's your team for the week. So as long as you know they're going to be playing, you basically lock it in for the week. And if one of your blokes does get hurt first quarter of game one that week, you get their score for the week anyway. So the bench becomes a little bit less relevant in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny though, like when talking about modern NBA, I mean, we're in the load management era. And it just feels like things change on a dime when it comes to like starting lineups, rotations, whatever else. And so you've always got that risk. But at the same time, with that said, I feel like you can have a little bit more confidence knowing that the NBA is really trying to crack down on those last minute, teams pulling out players and resting them on no notice with no reasons.
Or halfway through the second quarter, where is he?
Yeah, exactly. They've just gone to the locker room and it's like, oh, okay. That's not, it's not going to be a thing of the past, but it's going to get pared back. And I think with that comes, it provides a little bit more confidence in sort of the team that you're fielding or, it's going to be on the court for you.
For sure. And it's probably no different as well to taking like a Tom Trbojevic in the NRL. Like we know the risk is there.
Yeah.
So some weeks you might want to take a guy with 4 or 5 games who pretty consistently stays on the court as opposed to a bloke who might have 4 or 5 games, but you're like, is he definitely going to play like Kawhi Leonard or someone? Like maybe we get 2 or 3 out of him, which it's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Because you can't change it. Once you've traded them in and they've played, that's it till the next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. And, you don't even need, if you had limited knowledge on NBA or just like casual fan experience, but you closely monitor schedules, you can be competitive in like NBA Supercoach 100% right the way through a season.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I'll say. Before I do, actually, you can trade guys in and out, much like NRL. A lot of our basketball fans will have played draft mode, where you get your big dog up top. Unless you trade him, he's yours for the year.
Yes.
So bear that in mind. But I think the biggest thing we got to talk about is, and it's schedules. So if you have, I'm just going to jump straight to it. Nikola Jokić, best player in the game by some margin on a per game basis.
Yes.
In Supercoach. His first 2 weeks, Denver have 2 games and 3 games for a total of 5. If you bounce up the top or go down to Oklahoma City, you've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 3 games and 4 games. So straight away, that's 7 games versus 5, where you can score more points from Shai in 7 games at like $7 million cheaper than you can loading up on Jokić with 5 games. There's no point spending all your cap on a bloke that's not playing. Doesn't mean you can't grab him in round 3 or week 3, or whatever he called in the NBA here, and then load him in. But I found it's really important to spend that bigger money on blokes with a lot of games.
And that's why, when we look at like sort of the top 10 players that are owned right now, and some of the guys that sort of, appear on that list, it really, you can kind of see some of the people that are kind of getting trapped with, a lot of Jokić owners out there. Owned in by 35% of players. He's 5th on the top 10. And for that $28 million price point, I mean, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow with those 5 games across the first fortnight.
It basically doesn't make sense.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, he might erupt and average 50 a game.
I'll tell you what I think about it. And if I'm jumping around here, forgive me. But Jokić, like, sort of definition of a generational fantasy player, right? Like and he's one of those rare cases where you've got a player that has an MVP season, and you always are asking the question, is this going to be where do you go from here? Like, is it the letdown season? Is it the comeback down to reality? Did they peak? This, that, and the other. He is like a Michael Jordan-esque figure in the sense that every time he's had a historical season, he's found a new way to do something more historical. And get better the following year, and so that gives you a lot of confidence. The problem is that with that $28 million sort of price tag and the rough start to the season, that's a consideration. But the bigger thing for me is I look at his backup centers previously. He's had JaVale McGee, Thomas Bryant. They were running Saric and DeAndre Jordan, last season, basically stopgaps who really just gave Jokić like 10-minute breathers. And then he was, back out there carrying the load. But this year, Jonas Valanciunas, and this is like a big man that
it's a huge acquisition.
Huge. He can actually play. There was, he was putting up last season 12, 8, 2.5 assists in just 19 minutes. And historically, Jokic's backups 10 to 12 minute guys. Jonas could even get up to sort of 15, 20 minutes. That's a meaningful dent in Jokic's minutes and workload, in my opinion. I think last year, constant chatter, particularly when we headed into the playoffs. It was all around Jokić is burnt out. He's having to carry the load. He's exhausted. Not to mention the fact, half the time it almost seems like he doesn't even really want to be there. It's like he's a part-time player. I think this move feels like Denver's finally acknowledging this. They've brought him in, and I think it's going to be to take off some of the pressure, so that we could see Jokić sort of paced early in the season. Yeah,
and look, NBA titles aren't won in November. So they know that. Everyone knows that. That's why load management exists as well. I just don't see how he would have to be incredibly good just to hold his value. And with that game schedule, even if he did hold value, he's still probably not worth it. So he'd be nice to pick up ahead of a good game schedule. A little bit cheaper because he's still going to be a boss. Obviously, he's a machine.
He's going to be historical still. If you skip him for round 1 and spread that 28 mil around, I think there's There's more value in that. And then you just pick him up mid-season when Denver's schedule softens a bit. I've got my eye on that sort of round 9 to 16 stretch. That's when the Nuggets have a pretty great run, and that's when I think you'll want him firing. But I'm
getting him week 3, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. Look, we'll see how it goes. I do think it's going to be a bit of a build for him, and I can't really stomach the $28 million price.
Yep. The beauty by week 3 is we'll know where he's at. That'll be 5 games in exactly.
That's
so
right.
We'll know what's happening.
Yes.
But just stuff to be aware of. And in terms of that, actually 2 points. I get to go on my own tangents now that I'm host. This is great.
That's true.
1, going to wear a new jersey each week. I've got about 10, but this is
great place to start.
North Carolina jersey.
Nice.
I can't remember where I got it, but it is an absolute cracker.
Look, it looks like you've had a lot of good wear of that.
Absolutely.
That's got a bit of wear and tear. You're obviously a veteran jersey wearer, I can tell.
Yep, love this. And D Wade's he's my boy. And I was going to open with him, but I wore it on the weekend. It's in the wash. So MJ had to step up and had some other tangent I've totally forgotten about. So we won't worry about that for now. There was something I was going to add. It was basically this. It was you want your game schedule.
Yep.
And you want to make sure you're sort of at least maintaining some value there. So I think probably important for us next week to really look into, before the NBA season kicks off, who's overvalued this year and who's undervalued. Because there are a few options, and one of them might be Luka Doncic, but we'll have a look at that in a minute.
We'll see.
And I'll love your thoughts when we get there, because obviously he's playing with LeBron now.
We might have differing opinions.
It'll be interesting. Well, I'm pretty open.
He's on this list as well. He's in the top 10.
Yeah, we'll get there then. So outside of that, man, I think that's a pretty good rundown of what it entails. What I would say to listeners and viewers, if you're in any doubt, just jump into the stats from last year under the players tab, and you'll see what they average. It's not going to substantially change. So if you have no idea what you're doing, there's plenty of people that might jump in playing NBA for the first time, just based off last year, and you can sort of see what they averaged and expect something similar. And then you don't have to worry too much about how the scoring system impacts positions and roles, because you see it from last year, what they did, and based around that. Shall we get on to... we will get to the top 10 most owned players, but while we're at it, why don't we just run through some of the bigger averages from last year, just to give people a listen. So we've got... I'll lead this one, mate, but it is Nikola Jokić averaged 45.2 a game.
Yeah, far and away the best player, obviously.
Giannis was second best at 37. It's a huge leap.
Massive. And again, this is why I come back to, like, he's in a league of his own, and I completely acknowledge that. That's why he's so expensive. But again, this is coming off of one of the most productive seasons where he, again, had to really carry the load. And I genuinely believe Denver are trying to offset that a little bit. So I'm not really expecting a 45 average from him this season.
Give us a punt. Just go early. I'll give you mine as well.
I honestly have him pegged more at that Giannis level from last season.
All right, I'm going to go 41.
41? I'm thinking 37, 38.
Okay, well, we'll see where we land later in the year, mate. Giannis is at 37. Shea, SGA there at 35. The beauty of Shea is, and that works out well, he's an efficient scorer. He doesn't miss a lot of shots. He defends. I love Shea. He'd be one of my favourite players. So that's why he's so good. Yeah. Again, they won the championship. Sorry. They won. How old is he? He's quite young. What I was going to get to was, do they just ease up a bit this year? They don't necessarily need to, but you've just won the title. Again, championships aren't won in November, so I just wonder if Shea's eased in a little bit with minutes or if he just hits the ground running. I'm starting with him. So I hope it's hit the ground running. But there's always that championship hangover thing. It's like, how do you come back?
That is one of the reasons why, again, and I know we're going to get into it, and I know I'm jumping a little bit around, but he is he's not actually in the top 10 most owned players. And I think he's fallen out for that reason. I don't want to start with him purely because I do know how hard it is for players to go back-to-back, both from an NBA championship perspective, but also an MVP perspective, individually.
Doing both, yeah.
Doing that is, not only is it exceptionally hard, but it's exceptionally rare. There is a bigger probability, a larger probability in my mind, that there's a letdown than there's going to be an uptick.
Yep.
I think they'll need to approach the season and year a little bit differently. I'm thinking that Chet maybe has a bigger role, and I just feel like there's a good chance that Shea eases off and tries to build again back end of the season. I know what's his price at the moment? Would it be 23?
Priced at 22 million flat.
23 flat. Okay.
22 flat.
So steep, but not crazy. But again, like we're talking about, just coming off the MVP. Not everyone's Jokic. Can you go up from here? I don't know.
I'm backing him, but I appreciate what you're saying, and his early schedule is outstanding in terms of games played.
That's the other thing.
So he's a great captaincy option.
True. OKC have a very good schedule.
You've got to weigh up a few different things.
You do.
And I still think schedule trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're talking about, mate. No, I do. Victor Wembanyama, he was 35.2.
Yep.
We know how much better he can get. A quick thought on him. He's young. Is he just going to go through the roof? Or
Look, he's sitting at 14th right now for like ownership. I think that he is a must. He's a set and forget for the whole year, in my opinion. Not only is he supremely talented and the ceiling is like unbelievably high, but remember with the scoring system, blocks and steals are worth 2 points. He could conceivably lead the league in both those categories. Yeah. Blocks are an absolute lock. I know he's $1.55 to win Defensive Player of the Year, and they'll eventually name the award after him. So,
I checked the blocks stats. The blocks odds last night specifically, and he's not even in it. It's just got the second ranked.
Yes,
$61. We're not even putting you in.
Yeah, because I think he led the league last year, and he only played half the year, and then he was out. It's just
there's a really interesting one. It's a great talking point. First episode, mate. Wembanyama. We think he's going to get better. He's an all-time freak. He's generational. He's perfect stat accumulator. He does turn the ball over and miss shots though, so that pulls him back a little bit.
He does.
Yep.
Yes. But I think that potentially gets offset by I think there's going to be an uplift in his distribution. Yep. His assists will go up, and it could potentially offset some of those miss shot numbers.
Rather than 4 assists and 6 turnovers, it might be even 7 and 7's better.
Mate, he had 7 yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah. Like 7 assists, and he was barely trying. Like
that's it. Speaking of schedule, San Antonio Spurs have only one 4-game week in the first 10. They're all 3, which is horrific, in fact.
Terrible, yes.
It's consistent, but like what you'll find is with the big dogs, you're chasing those 4 or 5-game weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about him. Anthony Davis back to Dallas. He was 34. We won't go through all these, but I'll just list them unless you've got something you really want to say about them. Because we don't have all night. We do have podcasts next week, so don't panic, mate. Don't get too excited.
No, okay, I'll hold back.
Karl Anthony Towns, he was at 32.
Yep.
DeMarcus Sabonis, 31.5.
Yep.
Luka, 31, which I think is unders. We'll get to that. LeBron was at 30. And then Jason Tatum, who's gone, was at 29. But that
don't buy him.
Yeah,
don't buy him.
Damn, he's hurt, guys.
You won't have much luck.
But that's a good example. There's a lot of big men there, and the guards are good shooters. So that sort of tells us where we land in relation to that. But also just gives you a guide about who's good.
A lot of premiums in this
format. You don't have to worry about too much. Just check. It tells you. And you can check previous seasons as well, which is where my Luka chat comes in a little bit. Now, analysing top 10 most owned players. This is huge. In any format of Supercoach, you, as a listener or viewer, you just want to know, what are we thinking around these guys? Should they be owned like that? Should they not be? We'll start with Cooper Flagg, most owned at 65.5 ownership. Seems a tick to me, but talk to me about him, mate.
Look, I mean, he's top pick in the draft.
I also drafted him in my Yahoo side, so this better be good.
Completely. Where'd you take him?
50.
That's fairly okay.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
I didn't like anyone in the 50s. I'm like, bugger it, let's do it.
Look, he's supremely talented, like huge upside there. He's a top pick in the draft, naturally tempting to buy. I think for $5 million, it's never a bad choice. He's obviously going to be incredibly productive. The situation is unique. He is sharing the floor with other very talented players, and the Mavs. I know in our power rankings for the season, Mavs are a top 10 team, and so usually when you've got your number 1 draft pick, it's going to sort of like a team of bums, and they just get usage through the roof. I know that he's going to be sharing the floor with AD, and then if Kyrie...
When he plays.
Well, yes. And then when when he comes back, if he comes back, I mean, that's 3 number 1 draft picks all in the same starting lineup.
That's
insane. But it does pose questions around his role. D'Lo's going to be taking Kyrie's spot in the starting lineup to begin the season. He's not known as a distributor instinctually, like it's just not a part of his DNA. But and he also has some great combos with AD, having played together previously. I think he's a buy. The talent's undeniable. Is there enough ball to go around all season long? I'm not 100% sure, but I do know. For me, it's going to be a bit of a wait and see. But I am high on him, and I don't think he's a bad buy no matter how.
So you lock him in and you reassess.
Yes, definitely.
Do you sell him once he's made cash, or is he a hold? We'll go from there. Do you start with him in your starting lineup? Is probably the big question.
I mean, again, $5 million.
Rather than on your bench, because a lot of these guys who are this price will just sit on your bench. Do you plug him in just to spend the cash elsewhere?
Well,
I'm hitting you early with the hard
questions. It looks like he's getting started by majority of people that own him. Yes. Is that right? So
you're reading right.
I think that's probably the right move, especially initially, given the Mavs are going to be thin to begin the year. As it builds, who knows? If he's struggling or there's problems, that role is going to be diminished. He'll never ever, I would say with confidence, he'll never be a bench player. He'll never be coming off the bench. I don't think it would take catastrophic circumstances for that.
I should have clarified. I meant you start him in your Supercoach side.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
no, I know. I'm agreeing. I'm talking just about production.
Yes, for sure.
So I think he's never going to be a bad pick, and his price is probably always going to go up.
Yep, love it, and then probably determine as we go. But start him and definitely buy him and probably start him is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey, he erupted today. I don't know how good the opposition were. I didn't check who played.
He did. He had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a few steals.
How are we on Ace?
Mate, I actually, for 4.8 mil, I actually had him higher than Cooper Flagg for Supercoach purposes.
Yep.
The Jazz are a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Markkanen's been missing training camp with, wrist injury. It's unsure of what his status is going to be to start the season. Kessler hasn't been right either.
Jazz tanking again? Or don't know yet?
I don't know. And I think it's going to come down to like the health of some of these guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Markkanen's a trade risk right now. There's always buzz, but it doesn't look like it's got much. It has many legs, but somebody has to take shots. And Bailey is cheap enough that you're essentially locking in usage by default.
Yeah.
So low risk, solid reward, great early season cheapie in my opinion. I think that with the amount of ball he's going to get, we could be starting next year, calendar year, and his averages could be at like 21 and 7 or something in under certain circumstances. Just because who else is going to get opportunities there?
We'll do our bit of a team reveal closer to tip-off, but he'll be another interesting one to see. Do you start him on your bench? Do you start him in your side and load up elsewhere? We'll have to see. Dylan Harper, San Antonio. Quick thoughts around him?
Everyone's jumping on him. So right now, I think he's third. He's third on like ownership. Yep. I am not going near there. I know that De'Aaron Fox is going to be out to start the season, but from what I've heard, his absence is mostly precautionary, and just managing him.
I drafted him as well.
Yes. So Harper,
the day he did his hammy, so hopefully it's just a little precautionary.
I think it's going to be okay. Harper himself though is coming off thumb surgery.
Yep.
And it's not even clear if he starts over Castle, who was like the reigning rookie of the year. So for me, there are kind of too many affordable guys to take that punt. I think it's a pass. And then a general rule for me that I always stick to: if a rookie comes in carrying an injury flag, it's a steer clear. Like it's burned me once or twice, but 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's saved me from like wasting a roster spot. And guys like Harper, fit that category this year. Cheap and tempting, but it's not worth the risk when there's safer options.
Don't mind that. It'll be interesting to see how many cheapies we have to fill out our sides, or if we go a little bit more expensive. But again, close to the season, we'll figure all that out once we get our format sorted and our structures in our side. Edgecombe from Philly. And bearing in mind, everyone, preseason hasn't really started yet. We're a couple of days in, so there's a lot of speculation. We don't actually know guys' roles. Yeah. Edgecombe, a lot of Philly guys can get injured. That's just how they are. So they might just walk into a high usage type situation. But what if they're all playing? Night 1 or night 2?
If they're all playing, look, he's again, he'll get minutes. I don't have. He's not on my board as like, I haven't circled him. I don't see him as like necessarily going to be a wave maker.
Yep.
Again, a lot of turbulence with that Philly team. I try and stay away from turbulence just more broadly. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And so I don't have him circled. I know he's fourth. Like 42% of people have him in their team. 4.9 million. You're not going to be hung out to dry for that kind of outlay. But it's kind of like you can, if you want, you don't have to. It's not going to kill you either way.
His college stats are pretty decent. He's a big thief, so I wonder how that will translate. Bit of blocks, points. So he does a little bit across the board. Probably at that price, he's in my side at the moment, but we'll have a look closer to tip-off. The Charlotte fella at 5, I'm going to have to confess here, I've never watched him play. I don't even know how to say his name. Talk to me.
Which, you're talking about Con.
Yes.
He shifted. Jokić was 5th and he's just dropped down to 6th.
They must be listening live.
Yeah. It's already changing before our eyes. Again, Charlotte.
How do you say his name, sorry? Do you know?
I can't pronounce his surname.
I haven't seen him play yet.
I haven't seen him play.
Yeah. So we'll start on Con from Charlotte.
Not much to write home about for me from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
Supercoach, different. He's going to get touches, that's for sure. And on that Charlotte team, who are, cheeks.
They play pretty fast, don't they?
Yeah.
As well.
It's going to naturally happen. But again, he falls into the VJ category for me, where it's like, it's not going to be a game changer for you, but you're never going to lose out at that price point.
Yep, for sure. A little confession. It's not a confession because it's a cool thing, I reckon. I really like Charlotte.
Oh, really?
Kemba Walker days. MJ owned them. LaMelo Ball's exciting. I like their strip and I've got a Charlotte hat. So Matty asked me before, he goes, who do you support? So it was always, I came into the league, so to speak, in 2005, and I saw Dwayne Wade playing on ESPN at my cousin's place.
Yeah, right.
This bloke's exciting. So I was like 17 or something at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd always followed it from afar, but never really got into it outside of Jordan, of course, whose last game I did watch on Channel 10. I fully remember it, 98.
Really?
Yeah. I was at my mate's house, and they must have streamed it into Australia because of the magnitude of it.
So you're talking about finals where he hit the shot?
Game 6,
wow.
the one.
Wow.
So I'll fully remember that, but fast forward to 05, and I was like, D-Wade just captured my imagination. And off the back of that, I probably actually started somewhat doing fantasy around then, but not too hardcore.
Yeah.
Followed Miami all the way, but when he retired, I was like, I'm not as invested, and that's probably a pretty common thing in NBA.
Yeah.
You follow your players, and I like Kemba Walker, so I don't really have a side, but I really like Charlotte, and I know they're not very good, but they're fun to watch.
They are fun, and LaMelo obviously put them back on the map, and he's incredibly exciting. Like, this season, not tons of applicability to our conversation today on the Supercoach front, but he's, in terms of output and numbers, he's definitely going to get you, runs on the board without a doubt. He's worth drafting and he's worth having in.
He's exciting in Supercoach because you don't have to hold him all year with those ankle and injury concerns. You can plug him in for a week or two and let him.
Which is what you want, because he is guaranteed to have his late November, early December burst of 38 and 8.
He's a machine. That's my little sidetrack story. My other story would be, it's not a story, but I love Steph Curry.
Yes.
And I'd love him to get
just
another one before he's done. But Damian Lillard, he's hurt. Lillard winning one with Portland back in the day would have been my number one thing to see in NBA if it could have happened. But I mean, I know their side wasn't quite that good, but I love Dame. He's incredible.
He is, but he's kind of lost to some of that mystique now.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's gone back to, Portland, and that's that's a storyline in itself, but just the way that it ended with Milwaukee was so it's just so anticlimactic that, and again, this is one of the things that I think is going to affect Giannis's value this season too. We'll get to that. I know he's in top 10 most owned, but yeah, I think Lillard's obviously amazing. He's kind of just that guy that never really got over the hump, but you always rooted for him. Like, you just wanted to see.
If you don't like Lillard, don't talk to me.
No, who can hate Lillard, really?
Nikola Jokić, we've already spoken about. I think we've agreed.
Yeah.
His minutes will be down a little bit, and he's not so much his usage, but he just might be on the court a bit less.
I just think that again, I think it'll be paced. He'll be paced early.
And it makes sense. Obviously, you put the best player in the game in your side, but in NBA, you don't want that with him not playing many games early on. So we get a free look basically at him to see what he's doing ahead of week 3.
I think that 28 mils is guaranteed to come down a bit.
So do I. Jalen Williams for OKC. He's at 3.5 mil, so I can see why people are plugging him in.
Of course.
He might just be one of those guys you put in. He might not do much, if anything, but I guess he's got an opportunity to maybe make a little bit of cash.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, I think, last season or whatever it was, like he was trending. If you look at like the projected trend, I think he went from 3.5 to like 7.8, something like that. Again, he's on this list because he would be probably one of the cheapest players in the entire league. And, Chet presented a bunch of injury concerns in the instance that they get a bit thin at the power forward and center position. He could get a bunch of opportunities, but who knows?
But at that price, he might just be worth plugging in.
Exactly.
And to clarify, that's Jalen Williams with an I, not the starting forward, small forward Jalen Williams, who's an absolute boss.
Yes.
That is confusing.
Good clarification.
Especially early days.
Yes.
When they'll come on
you won't get that guy for 3.5.
No, if you do, just get him.
Yes.
Luka Doncic.
Now, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not here, and I kind of think that you might be when a comment that you made earlier. But Luka is a mini Jokić. So mini Jokić that's $10 million cheaper. He's not quite as efficient. His shooting percentages can hurt a bit at times, but he's one of the best triple double hunters we've ever seen. This year he gets sort of a clean run. LeBron is expected to sort of load manage a little bit more, which means Luka actually has a chance to be the guy consistently in his first full season with the Lakers. So he's got full training camp. He's the fittest he's ever been. He's looking great. And here's the thing about Luka. I always think he's always starting strong. He plays himself into shape, which he might not even need to do this year. But the numbers in October are outrageous. Over the last 3 years, in 14 October games, Luka has averaged 33 points per game, 9.8 rebounds, 7.9 assists, 1.4 steals. That's ridiculous. I don't even think Shea has had a stretch like that in any point in his career. So, while Jokic might be sort of one to wait on, Luka feels like an auto pick to start the season. He's cheaper, he's hot early, and he sort of sets you up with a reliable anchor. I think he's the best value player in this top 10 list.
I agree. And his schedule's pretty good early. So the Lakers have a 3-game week. So for clarity, week 1, a team either has 3 games or 2 games. So getting someone on the 3 is pretty useful because that's 33% more points. But then he goes 4 games, 3 games, 4 games before a 2-game week, and that's where we'll flip him. Doesn't mean we can't get him back, but he'll be a flip that 2-game week for someone with 4, and we go from there. But a little Supercoach tip, if you go into his player profile, and then let me do it live here. So you go, Luka. Just worked for me before, I swear. Then you come into career stats, and in the career stats tab, there's a Supercoach thing, and it tells you what he scored in previous seasons. So the year before last, he averaged 38.8 as opposed to a 31, which is what he's priced at. Now, we're probably both thinking he can edge back up towards that. Even if he doesn't get 38, if he averages 35 or 36, it's money, it's points, and it's a good schedule. He seems like a no-brainer and not just picking someone because of the name. That's where I'm at with Luka. But I had to figure out how to fit him in my side last night. I got him in.
See, I'm working that out. Obviously, I haven't revealed my side yet, but I've been trying to do the same kind of jigsaw puzzle to get him in there because I think I do think he's a great one to start the season with.
Let's do 3 more because number 11 I want to speak about.
Okay.
This is another rookie I don't know much about yet. Give me a month. I'll know everything about him, but it's just early days. And it's Colin Murray Boyles from Toronto. Up in Canada, number 9. He's 31% owned. Power forward center, cheap again.
I don't think much doing there. I genuinely believe Toronto are going to actually be very competitive this season. I think I saw like their over-under on like wins was like 39.5 or something like that. Man, I think they can be very good. I think Toronto have a great team. Their starting lineup is strong. I don't know where this guy fits in, minutes-wise. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on him or, tell you that I'm like a veteran Toronto Raptors fan. But yeah, I don't know where he fits in. I don't know how much noise he makes. He is only 4.6 million. He will get minutes, that's for sure. But I'm not he's not going to be a centerpiece for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's speaking of my own draft, I drafted Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl, so I'm sort of hoping Toronto have a decent year.
I think they're two good picks. Like I'm a quiet Toronto believer in at least the overs.
Yeah, and I got them at both at a reasonable clip. So
whereabouts?
Scotty was around 30, which I think is outstanding.
That's great.
And Poeltl, actually don't remember, but it was maybe 70 or.
So that's still good.
Still pretty good. So I've sort of backed him in there.
Yep.
And the reason I mention that is because another thing you can do if you don't know, there's so many teams and players. Like, it's crazy. It's a bit like NFL, trying to get my head around that. You can punch in Toronto Raptors depth chart on Google, and it tells you where they sit in the pecking order, which is a great thing about American sports if you want to figure out where they're sitting at. And Murray Boyles is in behind Scotty Barnes as the backup power forward. Probably potentially plays a bit of centre as well. I don't know much about him, but there's an opportunity for minutes for a bloke who's cheap. So, again, if there's a lack of cheapies on offer, he'll probably do a job for us early. But on our bench, not playing.
Yeah,
he'd be one of those blokes. Giannis, the big fella at 23 million, second highest average last year.
Tricky one.
What do you reckon? I'll give you my thoughts after you have a crack, mate.
Well, I think with Dame out of the picture, usage has to go up, obviously. The kicker is that last year he already cost you around 15 points on just turnovers and missed shots.
Yeah. That's what I can't figure out, if free throw misses count. Because it just says a missed shot.
I was going to ask you that question.
It doesn't tell you.
So I don't. We'll find out together. It'll be a good test. I think that it does from those numbers.
I'm sensing it does.
And the more offense that runs through him, the more that number could grow. And then the only thing that I worry about as well on top of that is that the off-court noise right now. This week reports came out saying that Giannis, had his eyes on New York for a while.
That'd be awesome.
And the Bucks are really in this sort of wait and see zone with him. If Milwaukee stumble out of the gates, what happens? I don't know. In today's NBA, nothing's sort of off the table on that front. But could he force a trade before the deadline? The Bucks could even manage to they could sit him if they want to manage him weirdly to protect value. I mean,
they don't want him hurt if they're going to trade him.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds crazy, but we've seen stranger things, and so to that end, I do worry about him as like a long-term piece. I don't know what I hate when players start to come out and they're talking about things like, "Oh, I'm all in, but." When we're starting,
that's not all in. If you're butting
as soon as he's, I think he's going to be a polarizing Supercoach decision because he was, number 2 this year for sure. But that sort of volatility makes me think that for $23 million, I don't know. I think will the Bucks be good? Maybe not, but. I would want to monitor the situation before bringing him in. I'm happy to wait 3 weeks or 3 games or whatever I need to.
So, the Milwaukee schedule has 3 games and 3 games the first 2 weeks.
That's pretty good.
It's probably a great opportunity to have a look. But in saying that, if you wanted to punt on him and start with him, they then go 4 games, 4 games, 3 games, 4 games, 4 games, which is insane. Means you can hold Giannis for at least 5 weeks with nearly max games. Ooh. And then you can do trades around him. So you'll find it's all good and well targeting 3 guns, but if they all fall on the same week, you're not going to be able to get them all.
Yes.
So you sort of need to have a look, sit there and go, well, do I just get Giannis now? And then you can hold him for that run. I'm tempted to do it if I can fit him in, which is going to be difficult. But there's merit there because then, you lock him in, you've got him. Oh, man. He's going to be through the roof with his usage and minutes.
You are right.
I would be happy to take the punt on him. When I say the punt, it's Giannis, but I'm just saying, despite those whispers going around.
That the schedule consideration is a big one. It's kind of it shifts my opinion slightly. Again, there are just other guys that I'm eyeing at that kind of money, or even a little bit less, that I'm happy to use to pad out my team before him for now. He's a wait and see for me. But then again, I'm a bit of a conservative operator when it comes to fantasy.
You might be able to actually get Giannis and Jokic in week 3.
So
That'd be massive.
First of all, you're revealing parts of my strategy right now publicly, but that is
That's our job now, mate.
I know that's true. That was back of my mind. I was kind of thinking that would be a great duo to run. And
Shea and whoever else is good in your side, just flip them.
And
or
I just
similar.
think, there'll be price reductions there, and it will be technically possible.
There you go. Well, I'm tempted to start with him, but one to consider. And my final one, Anthony Edwards at 29%. I won't harp on about it too much, but quite simply, if we go down to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have, I've totally lost him here. Where are we? Here we go. 3 games, based without going through it all. They have 2 4-game weeks out of the first 10.
Yes.
He's not good enough to be playing that many 3-game weeks. He would need to exceed his last year's value by a lot to make that happen. I expect him maybe to grow a little bit, just evolve. He's a young player. But in terms of just Supercoach pricing and schedule, I can't be having Edwards. And he'll be highly owned because he's an exciting young name.
Definitely.
But do not put him in is my tip.
I agree. I wanted to disagree. I wanted to find a reason to disagree.
Yep.
But the reality is that he does have a one-dimensional nature to his game at times. What was his average last season? I feel like it was not crazy.
Where are we?
On Supercoach.
No, I lost it.
So I didn't mean to put you on the
He's
spot.
16 mil though, so if he sort of...
I mean, 16 mil is a fair price.
That tells you how he went last year. He went decent without killing it.
Yeah, it was like
in a Supercoach
25,
sense.
26, 27, 28.
Like that, yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. One thing to consider is that he did say that this season he has a personal goal of when it's for bottom teams or weaker teams, he wants to try and set career highs in scoring personally. That kind of intrinsic motivation for a guy like him who's young and hungry and all the rest
is ideal.
It's ideal. Like you're looking at the things that you like about D Wade.
Yeah.
You're going to see that in Anthony Edwards potentially from a scoring output perspective. How that translates to the rest of the box score, I don't know. Whether that means that there's going to be a genuine elevation in his like Supercoach points output remains to be seen. I know that he's young, exciting, and that's why he's going to be in the top 10 or 11 or whatever for owned. I'm not chomping at the bit to put him in my team yet. Again, there are other options that can produce that type of points for less money.
Yep, I tend to agree. Week 11's what I've just circled here.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a nice pickup around then. But as someone who drafted him first round, getting the dreaded 9 slot in my draft, I'm very excited to hear those comments that he wants to torch weaker opposition.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
Mate, I feel like we've done pretty well considering we just met.
Yeah,
we've been thrown together, obviously, on debut from NBA Supercoach sense. But before we go and before we head into next week, I think you might have a couple of under-owned guys for me, which we will get more into, but give us some teasers.
Look, I don't want to. We'll save a little bit for next week's when we talk about it. But there's one in particular that sticks out to me. I was really surprised when I didn't see, and we did talk about him, but really surprised when I didn't see Victor Wembanyama in the top 10 most owned. He's sitting just outside that at 14th. I think he's the type of player who should be in everyone's team from the start. At 21 million, he's in that premium bracket. But when you look at the output that he gave us last year, it's pretty hard to ignore. He averaged 35, as you pointed out. That is the same as Shea, and he was the MVP, right?
Yep.
Obviously he played a few less games, but the key with Victor is how the scoring system will has its strengths with the defensive stats, the blocks and steals. He'll be they're worth 2 points. He'll lead both those categories potentially. And that's going to be a massive advantage in this format. And the offensive setup has also changed in San Antonio pretty significantly. No Chris Paul orchestrating and sort of slowing things down. Obviously, he's a great distributor, all-time point guard. But I just think that this is going to open things up for Victor massively. I think his usage is going to spike. We've already seen glimpses of it in the preseason. He's also grown. I don't know if you've seen this, but he's actually grown.
Heard he's got stronger.
Mate, not only has he got stronger, but he went from 7.3 to 7.4 preseason. Then he got remeasured again. 7.5, which was reported today. This is a guy, he's going to be, some of the top in points, boards, all defensive stats. He's in my opinion, a bit of a NBA Supercoach cheat code.
Yeah.
And for that price, I don't think he's the type of player you churn. I think he's a buy early, hold all year, knowing he's going to improve as the season goes on. The floor is, pretty safe because of the blocks. His ceiling is, unmatched in my opinion. If kind of, Jokić is, we see him as a bit of a generational talent. I think Wembanyama is squarely within that, and we're going to see strides towards that type of stratosphere this season from him.
It's pretty exciting, mate. As I said earlier, that first 11 weeks, those 3-game weeks are staring at me going, you can't have him, but does freak factor and just generational +1 talent maybe outweigh that? That'd be a decision for people to make.
Yep.
But I can tell you from week 11 on, his schedule is unbelievable. So maybe you then do grab him and hold him for the year. But big decision to make about, because you can't fit all the guns in like any super coach. It makes it hard. But
that's right. I do think that, though, there is that schedule risk at the beginning. I think his price is going to go up, and because of just from his pure average, even over that period of time. Yep. And then when it comes into that juicy period, you're going to wish you had him at that 22 mil, spot, in my opinion, or 21 mil or whatever it is.
I'm going to chase money elsewhere, but I could be eating my words very soon because I agree. I think he's going to absolutely kill it. Mate, excellent debut. I'll send you some coaching notes and some tape later to have a look at. But,
that sounds good.
Done well, mate. So cheers, everyone. SC Playbook NBA podcast, round 1, all done. We'll be back in the preseason for a couple more. We'll see what we can fit in, but looking forward to it, mate. Thank you.
We'll see you then.